see. I just did plan this live chat. I was doing some work because I hadn't been doing much in the office. I'm doing a dramatic lighting tonight. I'm going for a dramatic light. I've got very hard angled lighting and beautiful. I believe that's somewhere in Austria background. How you guys doing? Welcome to the live show. 13 folks online here. Oh, I don't have my chat thing on yet. Hello, hello, Harry. Harry Henry says hello. Let's get this thing working. All right. Yes, I was working on. I've been doing a whole lot of home repair organization kind of a thing, like a ton of it, and it's just gotten me like super tired. And I think part of that too is there's a lot of dust I kick up. I apologize, my eye line is over here because I'm trying to get this thing, my little chat window up running. So I've been doing a ton of like organizations and throwing things away and trying to get everything kind of sorted out so I can have my. I want to redo the bottom floor. It's just time. Like my parents bought the house and they wanted to do the flooring, but they never got around to it. Now my mom's just like she's not really able to walk, so I was like, well, time to take the do it and just do the flooring. But in order to do the flooring, you have to clear all this crap out of the first floor, which is a big task. And I just finished because it's a 3 bedroom house, and we have one bedroom that I used to use as an office, and was so cluttered with. I had a computer in there that was from like 90. Oh, I think that computer was from like 2003. That was really really old. I ended up taking it to the electronic recycling place and just dumping it. And yeah, so I'm turning that space into my new office, and I moved my rabbits up there. Got my computer set up, although uh, there's some issue with my old monitor. My old Apple Cinema monitor will not work with the 2070 card. Like I need a special adapter because it's a dual DVI. I know I'm getting in the weeds here. So that's fun. And I'm still running. Okay, good. And we're still live here. So make sure we're still running here. And yeah, yeah. So I've been doing that and kicking up a lot of dust, which is like aggravating my allergies, which means that I'm getting so tired like every day, just incredibly tired. And yeah, I've got to do a shoot tomorrow morning. I got to go wake up at really early to go do a breakfast event not streaming it, but I'm recording it and doing live editing. Says there's so many options for flooring now. It's like toothpaste. Yeah, I'm gonna go with linoleum. I believe it's called linoleum vinyl paneling is what I've been looking at, and I'm kind of like I've got a couple people sending me quotes. It's not that bad. I'm actually going to do a bathroom remodel too. My mom's having a lot of trouble walking, so I wanted to get a walk-in tub for her and for me too, because I wouldn't mind a walk-in bathtub with a whirlpool thing. And then while I'm doing that, I'm like, figure, well, I'm going to be putting the money down for a bathroom remodel. I might as well just go ahead and just replace the range, the burner and the oven, which are both 33 years old now. And I figured, you know what? I'm just going to do it. We're gonna get a new range. So yeah, sorry. I know I'm not terribly exciting today. Uh, you said they're like Legos. Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm not gonna install them. Like I'm so dang tired. I'm not gonna install. I'm gonna let those guys install it. But I do need to clear out the house, which is like 33 years of collected crap. So that's not easy. That's not easy at all. Like I said, I got the upstairs kind of sorted out. My bedroom is a mess, but we'll let that be for now. But trying to get the downstairs cleared out, it's insane. It's overwhelming. And I'm taking care of my mom at the same time too, which she can't really walk, so I gotta lift her up. Oh, there we go. Matt Bear, excuse me, the allergies are kicking in. Can I stream your studio series on virtual theater game I've been using on FB? Well, if you play it through YouTube, I don't see why not. As long, the only thing I would say is like don't download them and upload them to somewhere else. But if you're watching it on stream, I don't really see I mean, if you, well, I guess you're stealing my views, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It depends, I guess, your audience. If you have like 20,000 people watching you and you stream my video, uh, that might kind of suck for me because I don't get those views. But can you stream? I mean, I don't know. If you're just like hanging out with your friends, go for it. I don't care. Yeah, don't freeboot is what Harry says. Yeah, I mean, if you're just like a couple friends, Rick. Well, if you give me a super chat, yeah, I'll read out your name of your YouTube channel. Why not? I mean, as far as considering it's like the cheapest form of advertising there is. But yeah, no, yeah, like I remember. Well, I don't get too down the line of this, but I remember when Linus was talking. I think that one computer repair guy, Lewis, dang it, was talking about Linus. Too many L names. About like if you watch a video with your ad blocker on, that you're stealing from the creators. Uh, so Linus is like, well, it's just piracy, no matter how you cut it. Now, that's necessarily wrong that you're doing it. I mean, people do it. It's reality. People use ad blocker. I mean, that's just the way it is. Um, but but it is piracy nonetheless. But the guy was like kind of saying, well, if I bought something from your merch store, would that make up for it? And I think Louis Rossman, that's his name. Louis Rossman's like, well, if you buy it in the merch store, you're giving me much more money than YouTube would have for watching a single ad. So I think it makes up for it plenty. I guess only people that are out of the deal are YouTube, and well, we don't really care about YouTube. I mean, if yeah, Louis Rossman, Rick. Uh, Lucas says hello, everyone. Hello, John. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to talk about this other than like I'm just trying to do home repair. I do need to fix the roof, and I need to. And I'm thinking, once I get the floor kind of, or at least once I get the place kind of cleared up, I might do some painting because before I put in the new floor, figured, well, if I want to mess up the rug or carpet with new paint, I'll just do it now. I do have some places I need to like either. So I'm a little bit afraid because of the King of the Hill episode. This is how art affects your life. If you guys remember a King of the Hill episode where they went out and where Hank like tries to replace something and it finds out that he finds mold in the house and then requires the mold guy to like hire the contractor and the contractor calls up this other dude and they all come in and they make a big giant mess of the place because they found mold and but it turns out that they're all in cahoots. It's like the mold guy is friends with the thing, and they all call each other. So I got this one like this colored area of drywall, and it hasn't grown, so I don't think it's mold, but it looks kind of nasty looking. It's like black, it's like black specky kind of crap. I think it's just like wet drywall that got wet, and then I don't think it's mold because honestly, it's so dry. It might have been mold, but I hate to get a person in there and say, "Oh, you got mold in your house," and then it's gonna go. It's just gonna be a freaking nightmare. So I don't know how I'm gonna deal with that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just need to bite the bullet and just do it. How much does YouTube Premium? I think YouTube Premium actually does give you a larger chunk of the change. I do actually like YouTube Premium. Like I will advocate people. I mean, I get if people are diametrically opposed to YouTube and they may not want to give YouTube money, but it is like $10 a month or something like that. As far as subscriptions go, it's probably one of the cheapest, and it does make the YouTube experience like a lot better. Like I got YouTube Premium. I don't see any ads whatsoever, and of course I know you can always use ad block, but it's sort of like a halfway in between. Like you don't have to use you're not using ad block, and the creators get money. YouTube still gets money, so it's still a winning strategy for them. Schlitzputz says he's kind of winding grassed. Well, that's good for you. I wish I was there. Hey, Mr. Hester, I want to say your videos are very informative and helpful for me about every day, and I consider you one of the most valuable mentors. Thank you. Oh, thank you for being. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I've seen you before, haven't I? Seen you be on here before? Well, I hope I'm trying to do something. You should never. I'll never get it from the comments I get sometimes. And Tony says, I'm just about to go watch film, but I thought I'd drop in show support. Oh, cool. Which film are you going to go watch? Oh, there you go. In your video about data, I love the Yatta reference when you mentioned Yatta Byte. Yatta! That was an old internet reference. I know. I'm an old I'm an old internet man. That's what I am. Let's see. Sizzle Reel says, whatever you do, do something. Don't leave it. Oh yeah. Well, actually, I have left it for years and years and years and years. Like it's got to be more than a decade old. Whatever that black splotchy thing on the drywall, it's got to be like 10 years old. See what the hell's with these vom.rad people? I keep seeing this and I keep like blocking them. Let's go ahead and ban the guy here. Here we go. Bloop 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 bloop. All right, hide user on this channel. Bye bye. No more of that. I don't know why I keep getting that. It's like some weird. I'm assuming it's Russian. I can't tell. I can't tell what it is. Just came into the chat digging the inside out figurine to your left on the desk. I love this little guy. I kind of like him next to the flag. It's like a little. It's kind of very fitting. Hey Rick, all right. Here's his channel. Everyone check it out. The Wrench Mine on YouTube. Classic Toyota rescues. Ah, cool. I have a Toyota. I have a Toyota Camry, 1997. It's on its last legs, man. But it's I don't know. Is it on its last legs or not? I do need to replace the dashboard light because the dashboard light is starting. And it did put an LED dashboard light. Yeah, that's probably dying. It's probably like 10 years old. But yeah, my Camry, 97 Camry. What is that? 20? Oh my God, 25 years old, right? Yeah. 25-year-old car. I got about 280,000 miles on it, and I still drive it. I take the place I get to repair it at. The guy's like, well, just ride it till the wheels come off. Who cares? You don't. It's one less car payment, one less thing to pay for, and it's not like you're trying to impress people with the thing. Although what's funny is my office right here is literally a block away from the Tesla dealership, and which is the weirdest thing about it. It's not a traditional dealership. It's literally a building that's like a regular commercial industrial building with a bunch of Teslas parked around it. There's not like a lot or anything like that. It's just literally a building. But it's the weirdest thing. Ever since they moved in, when I drive around, I just see Teslas left and right. I see at least like I'd say 10 or 12 Teslas every single day. And I don't live necessarily in an extremely rich part of California. I just, it's pretty working class bedroom community where a lot of people drive. A lot of people commute out of here. But a lot of Teslas, so I've been kind of looking at Teslas a little bit, like, I should get a Tesla. Although the problem with Teslas, I feel like maybe my own personal bias is I think the range on the Tesla isn't quite enough for me to be comfortable. Like I kind of want a car that can at least get me to Vegas, on a single charge or a single tank of gas. Like I can get to Vegas with my Camry. I can get to Vegas and almost back with one tank of gas. Almost back. But oh, Lucas has an answer for me. The VOM in the YouTube comment section is a spam link with a timestamp in it where you click on that comment and you will be landed on that other spammy or illegal website. Interesting. Yeah, I knew it had to be a spam, but it's like every single time every video or every live video for sure, I get like totally thing. Sizzle reel. Oh, I came from your channel when I did a review of Camera Slider, and I got one around the time. Maybe a good use of it. I made a good use of it. Did you? If you watch my studios video, you'll see the actual slider in the shot. Like I use the slider, and it's done. Now this is the more modern slider. I've got like 5 sliders at this point. I've got way too many sliders. But yeah, that one's really. Because that one has a motor in it, and all it'll do is just go back and forth over and over and over again. So it's really useful when I'm doing these shoots where I'm doing it literally by myself. I forgot to mention the title. The pressure cooker. Don't. My wife had one explode, and we were sitting next to it on the table. No damage to us, but it put a hole in the wall across the room. Now I got the Ninja Foodie. I was impressed with it. Now I did a little. Did I do some pressure cooking? Yes, I did. I did I did. It's pretty solid construction. I don't think it's gonna blow up on me. I do have to make sure, yeah, we don't try to open it while it's got pressurized. But it's also um, a pressure cooker, slow cooker, slow cooker, broiler, um, sauteer. What else is there? Air fryer. So I did the air frying yesterday. And if you look at me, I'm kind. You look at me. You could probably summate that I am a fan of the fried foods just by looking at me. Like, oh yeah, he kind of likes the fried foods there. He's kind of little, he's a little corpulent person, likes the fried foods there. Yeah, so I fried some fish sticks last night, air fried them because I just had them lying around in the freezer. Cooked them for like 12 minutes. Oh man, they're like the best. Like I've tried putting them in the toaster oven. It's okay. But the air frying, oof, that's the way to go. I really like this. So I want to try chicken wings. I did try to air fry some homemade. I made some gyoza. We call them sui jiao in Chinese. Pot stickers. But I didn't put any oil on them. I should have put some oil on them, but they came out terrible. They came like, oh, like I like almost burned them. But I steamed some, and the steamed ones were really good. And I gotta work on my filling. I'm not really good at the filling yet. So, but lots of adventures. Right now, I'm cooking as curry. And so I put it in there before I left this afternoon. It's got 8 hours on there. We should do a cooking show, right? Filmmaker IQ cooks. I'm totally. I used to do a show, and one of my producer that helps me out a lot of times. We do a lot of projects out in Orange County. She is actually. We try to do a cooking show with her, but it's also one of those things where you have a lot. Sometimes you work with clients that aren't like computer savvy, and it's like this is not going to work if you're not computer savvy. Like, you can't really start a YouTube channel for somebody that doesn't really know how to use YouTube or doesn't really use the computer that often. So, and I've built websites for people like, oh yeah, I'll make you a blog, but you actually have to blog. Like, you actually have to do stuff with it, or otherwise it's pointless to have a blog. You know. So, anyhow. Langston says, I love my no nonsense advice. I appreciate that. You know what's the no nonsense advice? That video I did I did the last technical video I did, which is that 32-bit recording. So I get a lot, I did get some crap. A lot of people understood what I was going with that. I got a lot of people pushing back saying, oh yeah, 32-bit is absolutely so incredibly important to recording. And that now I've been for some, while doing all these videos and all that stuff, causes YouTube or causes Facebook and Google to send me ads for the newest or whatever Zoom recorder that they want to push on me, right? So I get these ads for these Zoom recorders, and guess what? None of them are capable of 32-bit recording. Maybe the ads are so smart that but I'm just saying, like, all this hoopla about 32-bit recording, and it happened in 2019, I think is when it started. It's 2022 and no one cares. So like I get all this crap about, oh, you got 32-bit. Why are you standing in the way of science? Why are you standing in the way of progress, John? Don't you know? Are you a dinosaur? Are you against flying machines and color TV? Do you subscribe to the New York Times? Is that your problem? And it's like, I told you. It doesn't matter. 32 bits, like, it's okay. Gary Grady says air fryers are really convection ovens, so it does not fry but bakes. But I like mine for roast potatoes. I agree. So being in the filmmaker IQ mode, I actually researched how an air fryer works. I mean, it is sort of like a convection oven, except the convection oven doesn't have nearly the amount of air. I think what happens with an air fryer is that it is like it's like a convection oven on steroids. I think the fan really like powers the air through it. So it's a lot like I said, it's a convection oven on steroids is really what it is. But it works really well. I mean, hell, like I have a deep fryer. Like I actually went and bought one. It's sitting in my shed collecting dust because it's such a pain in the butt to use. You have to like get all this oil and get it hot. And if you remember the old Arrested Development series where they had the corn fryer and he would always touch it and like he'd burn himself on it. But that's kind of what these fryers are like. I mean, they're kind of dangerous. They're not They're just a pain in the butt. So yeah, when we get my new range, my new gas range, it's gonna have an air fryer in the oven. So I'll have two air fryers. I can air fry my to my heart's content, or my blocked artery heart's content. Anyhow, let's jump back to your chats and hang out with you guys some more. Okay. Let's see. Jose says, Matt Bahari, I seem to recall MTV trying to revive Beavis and Butthead a few years ago. Didn't go very far, sadly. I'm kind of over, though. Let's let the past be the past. Let's not, like, they said, oh, Futurama's coming back. I'm like, okay. Like, I honestly, I didn't even watch last season of Futurama. So, like, and they're not bringing John DiMaggio back for Futurama. Like, why can you not have the original Bender voice? What's the point? What's the point of doing it? Oh, we're gonna have the original Fry and Leela. What's the point? Anyhow, I kind of got tired of Futurama. Kind of burned itself out on me a little bit. Uh, an episode about film food craft services would be a great logical tie-in. Absolutely, I've been kind of wanting to do that a lot, um, because there are some interesting. I think there are some interesting considerations with food crafty services, especially on the extremely low budget, which we all are here. I think part of it is, I think the big mistake people, well, I don't know if people make it anymore, or maybe it's just I'm older and I'm hanging out with folks that aren't going to make this mistake, is don't have pizza on set for crafty. Don't do pizza unless you're going to do it for like an end, like a wrap party. That's fine, but pizza on a crafty, I think, is the biggest no-no, because it's absolutely going to, for like a small production, it's going to kill momentum. I'm talking about like maybe on like a big studio production where crafty is like, serious crafty. But I think for a small productions, for backyard stuff that we do, I'm sorry, it's what we do. You know, 15 people getting together making a little small film. I think pizza's the worst thing to eat. Like, it's absolutely the worst. Not because I don't like pizza, because I absolutely love pizza. Don't get me wrong. The problem is it is literally, it will make your cast and crew just lethargic afterward. You don't want that. Like, you need, like, people just like after they eat pizza, they'll fall asleep. So I think I would talk about as far as like crafty, especially for a small crew that needs to like work quickly and keep going. Uh, Generally, I think, again, we're going to talk through this. Uh, I think light carbs, or not heavy carbs, but like lighter carbs. Um, Salad, what do they call them? Rolls, turkey. Like a lean protein and light carbs or whole grains. I'm getting my wording right. What are those sandwich wraps? Those things are often good. Or if you do like a chicken tacos kind of a thing, where what you do is you create you cook up a bunch of chicken, and then you have like the fajita sides. So basically, you can accommodate people that don't want to eat chicken. Okay, you can just have the fajita sides and and just eat it that, or so that way you're accommodating people if they need to be accommodated. Um, that kind of thing. Also, there's always the important thing about having just little snacky foods around too, like everyone's favorite Welch's not grape juice, Welch's grapes or Welch's fruit snacks. Absolutely terrific. Everyone loves Welch's fruit snacks. John is pushing whatever P. Of course I am. This is the chill stream. Grandpa says needs beer, lots of beer. Oh yeah, you get in trouble with that. There you go. All right, here's a good cooking tip. I find that Aldi's has a pretty good potato puffs later tots that turn out good in the air fryer. Oh, well, not that you need to know that, but now you do. You know what's interesting about Aldi's is that Aldi's is actually owned by the same company as Trader Joe's. It's like Trader Joe's is actually the American brand of Aldi's, because Aldi's is a German, I believe, grocery store, something like that. Uh, Speaking of which, Lifesaver says he likes the Starbursts. Starbursts are good. I think with crafty, remember the difference between crafty and catering, right? Crafty is basically little snacky things to go. So like your little I keep saying grape juice, Welch's fruit snacks, your cans of LaCroix. LaCroix. I love LaCroix, by the way. Just haven't had it in a while. I've been making my own kind of sodas, actually. I've got the Airstream, not Airstream, Soda Stream, which is really, I like that at home. So yeah, maybe bag of chips, little maybe peanuts, like trail mix kind of thing. That's crafty, and of course, catering is when you actually sit down for a meal. So and I always recommend too when you're a small production, the best things to do, is to sit down for a meal because it's when everybody kind of gets to know each other, and it's not so, it's always good to like thinking about like 48-hour film productions. It's like it's always good to have that meal, but it's like afterward, everyone like is looser and they all know each other. It's a common breaking bread thing. Anyhow, I know that's probably very very enlightening there. I don't know. I'm tired. What do you want from me? This is a chill stream. I call it a chill stream. We're just gonna chill. We're gonna hang out on a Wednesday afternoon before I go back. I'm gonna have some beef stew, but I got an early ass shoot tomorrow. I gotta get ready for. Well, I'm almost ready. Just gotta pack a couple more things. Jose says just heard from a friend the live action Thundercats was in the works. Word versus is that Dwayne Johnson is being considered in the role of Patrino. Who would they bet to play Mumra? I have no idea what any of those words mean. I don't know much about Thundercats. Even though I'm an 80s kid, like I didn't follow any Thundercats whatsoever. Thundercats. I wonder too. I mean, I get it too. There is always the nostalgia factor, but like, man, I feel like my generation's kind of got like, all right, did like I don't know. Well, I guess that we had like I Dream of Jeannie movies, and we had a lot of nostalgia for like the '60s, '50s, and '60s stuff back in the '90s. But it's like it just seems like overkill the amount of nostalgia stuff, And look, well, I was gonna say I want to go see Death on the Nile, the Kenneth Branagh movie, because I like Kenneth Branagh's portrayal of Poirot, and I like the Orient Express, and I think he's kind of cool, and I like Gal Gadot. I always like looking at her or watching her. So I wanted to see the Death on the Nile movie, and I realized that is a remake, but it's a remake that I feel like, oh, they're just gonna remake it, but put their own spin on it. And one of my favorite movies so far of last year was Nightmare Alley. And again, I realize that's a remake, but it's a remake, done with their own style. It's not the freaking Thundercats. I don't know. I'm not gonna make fun of your Thundercats. I'm not trying to. Are you part of the Freedom Convoy? Schlitz blitz. Honk honk. Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I've been following that too much, and like it's just I'm depressed at what's going on up there from the government side. Jose Mello says, or at Jose, funny to say that it looks like Tesla Edison because John's sort of Edison defender in the way it wasn't more than the businessman at the time. Yeah, I mean, I defend Edison more, and I don't think I think the Tesla stuff is a little bit contrived. Like the whole like Tesla was such a wonderful person or whatever. Or Tesla was on the verge of discovering like hidden energies or some nonsense like that. No, and honestly, Tesla was. I would willing to bet he was a bit of a crank by the time he died. He was kind of off the deep end. But hey, Tesla cars, not bad. I'm all for it. Oh gosh, if you find yourself if you find you need a subject to talk about, how about the Baldwin onset shooting? I don't know what the latest developments on that is. I mean, everyone's talked about it a lot already, but like, I guess there's some new findings on it. Like I saw, because one of the channels I've been following is Legal Bites. She did lots of streamings with Rakita Law when the whole what's his face? What's the kid's name? I'm blanking already. Anyhow, uh, but anyhow, I guess she had a video about it. And I didn't like follow. I didn't get into it yet because I got other stuff to do. But basically, I mean, I've been the couple times I've actually had live guns on set. And I've usually worked with people that are like pro Second Amendment because they had these guns. I mean, yet you generally are pro Second Amendment if you own a lot of guns. That's just the way it is. But serious, like no joking around with these guns. You don't like no, they're effing serious. Like okay, you put like there's zero zero joking around with these guns. Do not point them at And then if you, and we talked about this too with these guys that brought the guns on set. It's like when you work with a gun, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you the chamber. You can look down the chamber, make sure there's nothing obstructing the chamber. Look in the magazine or the revolver if it's a revolver. Look down the revolver, make sure there's no bullets in it. Then they'll hand it to you. And if that, I mean, I think I talked about it when this was happening, but yeah, that's, I don't know, something bad. Oh, is Death on the Nile 70 millimeter? I didn't know that. Well, more reason to see it. More reason to see it. I want to see that movie. I don't think I'll go tonight because I gotta wake up early tomorrow. Maybe I'll go. I'll probably go this weekend. If he can get if he can get ripped, William Defoe for Munra. I don't think Willem Dafoe wants to do. I mean, Willem Dafoe is probably having the most fun of his life because he's just up for anything right now. Yeah, I don't know if he would want to do the makeup involved for Thundercat. I don't know. Is there makeup involved? Oh, I don't know. Uh, I don't know about the convoy. Some of those flags chosen skeeved me out. I feel like some are pushing a certain politics. The Not to get too much into the politics. Yeah, the Nazi flag and the Confederate ones. The discussion is among the convoy folks that those are plants. Those are folks. Those are like false flaggers. And in this era, I don't know if you can necessarily count that out. And there was a story about those guys that went to that dressed up like the Charlottesville folks, and it turned out to be sponsored by the Lincoln Project, which is very anti-right. But they paid these people to dress up like alt-right, far-right wingers to go and pretend to be right wingers and like shout nasty things. So it was a false flag. They admitted this. They actually admitted this. And the funny thing was like in the portrayer of the alt right, they did diversity hiring, so they hired black people to go play racists. Okay, never mind. Well, I won't go too much into the politics. All right, never mind. Sorry about that. Schlitzpitch. Oh, OMG! I just woke when you moved around and yacked. I remember the Uzi that the kid killed the guy with by accident. Uh, I know wine and grass. Okay. I know Baldwin was a producer, but I don't understand how they're deflecting the whole responsibility from failing to the armorer. Even producer Baldwin, really a producer checking guns. Come on. Yeah, I don't know what the latest development is. I couldn't tell you, but I I definitely think the armorer is responsible. I don't think he's the only person responsible, but I mean, you generally, I know SAG was kind of coming down like, oh, it's not the actor's job to check the guns. Eh, kind of. I think if you have a gun in your hand, you're ultimately responsible for what happens to it. You can't just neglect it. Well, somebody told me it was not loaded. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not 100% liability, but maybe it's like 75 or 50. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure a Canadian would even know what a Confederate flag looks like. Yeah, plants. And why would you take a Confederate flag to Canada, where it means nothing in Canada? Like there's literally no, like the whole Confederate flag thing in the United States. I mean, yeah, they argue that well, it's a heritage thing. There's not necessarily representation of slavery. I get that, and I understand the argument against the Confederate flag that it does for certain people it does represent oppression and slavery. So I get that, but in Canada, like it has no historic bearing, so it doesn't make sense other than just somebody. That's it. It was like okay, so there was an interview. There's a debate, Oxford debate between Michaela Peterson and some lady, and they were talking about meat. And the lady they're in Oxford, and she kept talking about indigenous people, and the comment was like, indigenous people of England are the Anglo-Saxons. So quit talking about indigenous peoples of England. Those are those are those are those are English. Those are the English people. They're right next to the U.S., but they're not that oblivious. That's I disagree with that. That's just it'd be oblivious to think that they assume that the Confederate flag has the meaning to them. Because remember, they're next to the U.S., but the U.S. is they're next to the North. They're not next to the South. And I don't think anybody I don't think any Canadians identify as like deep South, like Alabama, Mississippi folks. It doesn't. I think that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Uh, Schlitzpitz says, "I am Canadian. I'm not happy with my country now." Good. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I honestly, all right. If we're gonna go down this road, I think Trudeau. I think he needs to quit. Like, he needs to be, or you guys need to like figure out a way to get rid of him. Something, because it's just he's embarrassing. He's embarrassing. Even Biden's like, well, Jen Psaki is like, those truckers, they're being cool, so you can't be doing that. Anyhow, let's get back to the movies. Just showed my son Back to the Future 1 to 3. I noticed that in part 2, the DeLorean is struck by lightning. You would see the tire tracks are a 911, and then there are 3 in the train goes over the ravine. Not quite sure I understand that, but all right. He follows up with a train goes over the ravine in the new Mission Impossible movie. Why? You know what bothered me about Back to the Future was the visual effects. You know when the tire like the DeLorean shoots out and leaves tracks of fire, but Marty and Doc are standing right on top of the fire. Like that bugs me so much. And it bugged me as a kid too. I'm like, that doesn't look right, but it's kind of cool looking, but it doesn't look right. But it just goes to show you, like, you know, as much as I mean, I feel like so many tutorials these days are about how to make things look really, really, really like authentic. And yet we all loved Back to the Future, and those guys were standing on top of fire, and it wasn't like going over their legs. It was just literally just on top of fire. Like sometimes I think modern filmmaking, again, we see these tutorials from all these other YouTube channels and showing you all these really cool tricks, make it look so realistic. But it doesn't need to look realistic. It just needs, at some point you got to like accept the phoniness of filmmaking. Just, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to just kind of, if it looks not quite right, that's okay. As long as the story is so engaging, so interesting, yeah, it works. Yeah, exactly, Lucas. It is green screened. I mean, it was probably blue screened, but it's yeah. Of course, it was a process shot. That's why they're sitting on top of fire. But they made no effort to like. Well, I don't know if the technology existed really to put the fire on top of them. Do another green screen. But yeah, exactly. I'm not disrespecting Back to the Future. I'm just saying like there are things in Back to the Future, that you're like, that didn't quite work. That didn't quite work. But but the thing is, the movie is so charming and everything. The storytelling is so good that you don't care. Like you don't care. Another thing I point out to a lot of people, and I might have to show people this, but like 2001: Space Odyssey. And by the way, Douglas Trumbull died last week. I didn't talk about it. I forgot to talk about it. Obviously a landmark person, as far as visual effects. And people talk about like how great the shots on. Let's see if I can find it. Moonshot. But how great the special effects are for 2001: Space Odyssey, and they really are absolutely astounding, right? Uh, let's see. I believe it's one of these shots is weird. Well, but you gotta remember historically too. What's important about 2001? I think it was 1966. So this is before Apollo missions happened, and this is before you had a really good shot of the Earth from far up in space, because we had like low orbit satellites. The Blue Marble shot, which is like the most famous space shot that came out of NASA, and I've had so many people comment on my video like, "Oh, Blue Marble wasn't a real thing. You're making crap up." Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that didn't exist yet. So a lot of the stuff in 2001, when you look at, you got to put it in like context of history. Like Douglas Trumbull didn't have a picture of Earth to work off of, so you didn't really know exactly what Earth looked like. He came close, but not quite as as realistic as we would create nowadays, right? I'm trying to find this shot. I got a couple of them here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Well, anyhow, I think this is kind of similar. So there is one shot. Let me see if we can put this on the screen. Boy, I gotta do. Well, I'll do this. Well, I'll describe the shot. If you look up 2001 moon shot, and they're on the surface of the moon, and the way this you can see the Earth in the background, and it's got light coming in from one direction like this, but the actual astronauts are lit like from up above and down or something like that. And the lighting isn't quite a perfect match. Like it's a kind of a realism thing that you would pick up if we were like nowadays. But back then, I mean, you never saw a man on the moon before. That's an amazing shot. I'm not again. People may not understand. They're gonna think I'm like bashing 2001, and I am not. I'm just saying there are things that you notice that aren't quite right. Anyhow, I think I'm going down that thing. I don't think anybody understands what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, loved my thank you about the slit scan and the Apollo. So I had a weird feeling after Doug Trumbull died because obviously Trumbull's so key and important and as far as filmmaking. However, he is so wrong about frame rate, like so utterly wrong. He is a like he is. It was one of those great failures. It's what happens is people that are who are technical geniuses like Trumbull, who absolutely we cannot deny his absolute technical genius when it came to technology of filmmaking. However, when people become that insular as far as technical stuff, they become cranks. I'm going to use that phrase. I never heard of the crank. The other guy that I compare it to is Audion inventor. What's his name? I can't remember his name. He worked with Ted Case developing sound for the movies. Um, William DeForest. William DeForest is the guy that played Bones. His last name is DeForest. No, DeForest Kelly is the guy that played Bones. William DeForest is the guy that one of the inventors of Audion. But great inventor in the time. But as they get older, they just start going down this one path, and they go down a path and they start becoming kind of crazy about it. And DeForest went on about he created this radio ad blocker. Basically, he hated ads so much. He hated radio ads. Like he had a passionate hatred for radio ads. So he developed this little device that allowed you to like click something and would turn the radio off for like 30 seconds and then would come back on. So you wouldn't be bombarded with ads. Like he was super crazy about it. But I was reading, and Harry's pushing back a little bit. I think he was right about frame rates only in theme parks. Yeah, I mean I agree. I agree with that. That's really the only place that ShowScan saw any success was in theme parks. But I was reading, so I was looking up Douglas Trumbull, and I read this article from interview with him, and it said Trumbull basically said that a lot of people don't understand. In the movies we have a shutter that basically blacks out the screen every other frame, so or every frame because it's a double shutter, and you don't have that in video, and people don't understand that. And I thought, Douglas Trumbull, how can you be so wrong? Of course you have that in television. Of course you have like cathode ray tubes. Of course they flickered. Like he thought that flickers were only part of movies. Like no, you had that in CRT television, dude. Like I don't understand how he could have been so wrong on that. Like he made a big point. Like no one understands this but me. That video doesn't have that black frame in between. That only the movies do. It's like, dude, just completely wrong on that. So anyhow, all right, we got another one of these spammy people that are gonna get the boot. Bye bye, spammer. All right. So anyhow, So that's why I feel torn because like Douglas Trumbull obviously amazing, right? Did so much credible. And if I'm going to do a review of a movie called Candy, which I hope I'm not going to get canceled for, because it is kind of in well, it's a little, it's a sex parody, and yeah. So anyhow, but he did the it's a sex parody about one of the naughtiest books in the like a book in the neighborhood of Lolita, right? And Lolita probably in modern society we consider pretty cancelable, but Candy is up there. And I was surprised to learn that Douglas Trumbull did the effects for it. Like, oh wow, Trumbull did this. So yeah, it's got Walter Matthau, it's got Marlon Brando, it's got James Coburn, it's got Richard Burton, and it's a porn parody. No, it's not a porn parody. It's a parody of porn. So it's R-rated, but it's not like porn. It's a parody of porn, basically. And the only thing that doesn't show up is a plumber or a pizza man who's bringing the pizza with the extra sausage. Anyhow, uh, yeah, there you go. Jose says in the 70 years we've gone from Cinerama to smartphones with the same aspect ratio in the palm of our hands. Yep, isn't that crazy? I mean, it's weird. Yeah. Hello there, Colonel Kurtz. I love it. Thanks for referencing my hair there. Have you seen the Apollo 11 documentary? Seeing the 1969 shot in 70 millimeter is astounding in its beauty. You can love 70. Can you tell I love? What was that? I don't think the actual the photos were. Well, the photos I believe were 50 millimeter, right? I don't. 1969 shot in. I don't think or was it the Apollo taking off shot in? So I don't think the actual stuff on the mission was 70 millimeter. I believe it was I believe it was 55 millimeter medium format. I think it was a Hasselblad. I know it's a Hasselblad stills camera, and I also know that it was like an RCA video camera. It's interesting. You can actually recreate the Apollo. We could make the Apollo video camera. I mean, obviously not the electronics. It looks like two. The Apollo landing cams actually look like two baking pans glued together. They look exactly like that with a lens on it. That's pretty much. Of course, Kubrick shot it in a studio, right? Because Kubrick loved the government. Kubrick never had a bad thing to say about the government, right? Like seriously, right? Kubrick, of course, would do a movie about hiding government secrets after making, Doctor Strangelove, after making Eyes Wide Shut, those kind of movies where he's talking about, yeah, of course, Kubrick would love to play with G-men, right? Come on. That's the argument that Kubrick's daughter always makes about the moon landing. Like my dad would never. He did not like the government. He wasn't like, oh yeah, I love the government. He was not one of those guys. Anyhow, Jorodowski is crazy, but in Jorodowski's Dune, he talks about meeting Trumbull and VFX for the movies and being optimistic and him being egocentric and disrespectful. Really, I get that. You can kind of get that a little bit in some of the talks he's done, because he does come off like, yeah, I don't understand why people are watching this 24 frames per second. Yeah, I can kind of get that. Walter Matthau porn hashtag I spilled mine too. This is a great. Okay, so I forced my friends to watch Candy. I don't think they have the near something about me, maybe because I'm getting older. I'm getting that 4-0 pretty soon. And I have a love for the reckless abandonment of certain kind of films. Like I liked the Cats movie. You can go back and watch my review of Cats. And I really enjoyed it because of I like ostentatious stuff. Like stuff that go like, what the WTF did I just watch? I love that stuff. And Candy is definitely one of those movies. But the whole scene with him, I mean, it's written by Buck Henry. Even though Terry Southern wrote the book, the character of Walter Matthau, he plays this army guy that's basically flying in the air the whole time. But it's Buck Henry basically referencing Doctor Strangelove. I know I'm mixing a lot of things. Terry Southern wrote Doctor Strangelove, the script of Doctor Strangelove. So Buck Henry, who wrote Candy, kind of made an homage to Doctor Strangelove with the Walter Matthau character. But the Walter Matthau character basically is flying in the air and he's got to save the girl's dad's life. And he's like, "Yes, give me one thing. I've been flying in this air for 7 years. Not a bit of love in my life. No women, no feminine. Just give me a peek. Take off your clothes and give me a peek." It's disturbing. So if that intrigued you, then by all means watch it. Oh, there you go. To explain, they filmed the build-up to the Apollo rocket taking off in 70 millimeter, but it was unused for. Oh, cool. That would be kind of cool to see. Write down what's the name of the documentary. I want to check it out. I love I love space. I'm looking through like going through cleaning up my house. I'm seeing all these old books of mine. Like I used to love space, all kinds of space. When I was a kid too, I don't do it so much anymore. But when I was a kid, like before I would go to sleep, I'd be in my blankets and I had like I pretend my feet were the pilots of this spaceship, and I would like create these space opera stories in my head about like flying to delivering cargo to this place or that, or dealing with the evil, I call them apps, the robotic wars. And I dream of ideas about like if you had a fusion bomb, what was the next step? Was maybe you could make like a bomb where basically it was a gravity bomb, which is like it's a small bit of material but so compressed that it becomes basically a black hole. But if it gets a little bit more matter, than the black hole basically evaporates extremely quickly and destroys the planet. So anyhow, that was my childhood into my early 20s was thinking about stuff like that. So yeah, leave it to Kubrick to bookend the '60s with Spartacus in 2001. Yeah, no kidding. I gotta go back and watch. I've never seen Barry Lyndon. I guess I should just go out and dang it, watch the Barry Lyndon. By the way, I'm like while I'm redoing my house, I am definitely going to buy myself a really nice TV. It's about time. Last time I bought a TV was 2005. I'm probably gonna get an OLED, but I gotta be careful. Like I gotta make sure I get an OLED that can show 24 frames a second. That's an issue. Now I've noticed too. So I want to do this video on this, but it's hard, and I hate doing. When I do a controversial video, I want to make sure I get my ducks in a row. But I definitely want to get one with black frame insertion, because I've seen that, and that really does make the motion way better. Now, the thing with black frame insertion is you can't really watch it in bright daylight. You gotta watch it in a dimmer room. But that's the way to go if you want like really good 24 motion. So, but I'm gonna wait until I get the house more in order before I do that. Speaking of Colonel Kurtz, isn't it funny that music is getting compressed as much as possible? It sounds louder while movies, photographies are getting darker, just like Apocalypse Now was in the time. Yeah, like I had a problem with. Honestly, I had a problem with a couple of those shows. Like there's. It's kind of funny because there's a video out by Wolf Crow, and a lot of people are just shitting on it. It's not like people are kind of pissed off at that video, and I think they're kind of got a point. But honestly, a show like Ozarks, like I really kind of stopped watching Ozarks because it just felt too dark. Not, and I don't mean like storyline, like visually, it was becoming so hard to see. Like I just like was getting tired of it. Like the aesthetic was getting too much. But I think it's like fashion, everything, trends for a little while, and then things will go away and change, and then they'll be back to the other kind of colors, whatever. Yeah, I wish they would post BTS documentaries on Blu-rays on streaming sites besides YouTube. Yeah, so I actually bought the Candy movie, and like you can watch Candy on YouTube. I'm going to talk endlessly about Candy until I finish this video, right? But there it comes with two little documentaries. One's a weird interview with a girl critic. I mentioned her sex because I just want to make sure people realize it's not just a horny old man kind of video. That some women actually find it fascinating. And the interview with her, which is like weird because she kind of like starts talking about nonsense. And then there's an interview with Buck Henry, who was the writer of the screenplay, and he talks about how why why he did it and what he thinks about it now. Now that's kind of got notoriety. And Buck Henry, by the way, also wrote Get Smart, and he wrote The Graduate. So a couple cool things. Good night, Schlitz. I don't know if you heard that. Do not get a TV, get a monitor, an Apple TV box. Well, I mean, I'm gonna get a TV which is gonna be like 75 inches at least. So I don't think they make monitors that big. Get P.T. Anderson to direct a Half-Life movie. Are you talking about a Half-Life, like the actual game Half-Life movie? Oh, Paul Thomas Anderson. I don't know if you'd want to do that. Get a projector or a theater room? Nah, too much work. It's kind of limited. I want a TV. I want like a big old screen TV. I seem to recall a special edition 2 DVD of the Terminator 2 with lots of deleted scenes and on-set video production and VFX behind it. Cool. Everything in Ozark is blue. Yeah, it's like watching something. So there's a couple different hours. There's something called the Magic Hour, which you've probably heard of, and then there's something called the Blue Hour, which is right after Magic Hours, right after the sun sets and everything's blue. And that's what I think what they're trying to do with Ozark is make everything Blue Hour, right? Oh, Lord of the Rings. We haven't talked about that. Lord of the Rings' appendices are the gold standard of behind-the-scenes material. They are so informative. And remember when The Hobbit came out? They did like a Hobbit diary. I used to post that like all the time. It was really great, really cool to see the behind-the-scenes of The Hobbit being made. No, I never watched the movies, but the behind-the-scenes are great. So the new Lord of the Rings photos came out, and people are upset, I guess, at it. I'm not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, so I kind of like staying out of it a little bit. I don't really know, but I there's something that doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel, for lack of a better term, cinematic about the pictures of the new Lord of the Rings. They don't feel. It doesn't feel right, and I don't know what it is necessarily that makes it look a little bit, for lack of a better term, TV movie. It's got a TV movie feel to it. I don't know what it is, and I don't know enough about it. I haven't studied it enough to tell you what it is, but it's weird. Anyhow, that's my thoughts. That's all it is. Left Hand Puppetry. Fox video was fantastic. Thank you, man. Thank you for watching it. Ben-Hur, great film. Let's Find a Horse scene is still a classic. I've got the 50th anniversary set of that on DVD. Yep. Yeah, I gotta revisit that. I haven't seen that in a while. I want to watch. You know what? I'm gonna watch a movie tonight. Maybe I'll try to get to watching a movie. Buck Henry created the short-lived film Cork with Richard Benjamin, Tim Thomerson, and the Double Mint twins. Okay, interesting. Cork. Myra from India, our film director professor at my design school, used my videos to keep us engaged while slipped out for a smoke. I love that line. The rest of the class eventually started skipping classes and then just watched my videos online. I should start doing that. All right, you just watch this neck beard. That's funny. I was looking up something about frame rate, right? And then somebody put a video, or maybe I was googling myself or something like that. And I was reading some forum, and they're talking about frame rate, and like somebody posted my video. I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to that neck beard talking about frame rate. Anyhow, I thought it was funny actually, that line. I'm not too offended. I mean, I'm more offended by the fact that he didn't actually watch the video, because he would have actually gotten the salient points. But then again, the thing with frame rate is people just like it's fun for me, I guess, to talk, because it's like an endless battle. Like the weirdest thing. So, what do you think my highest watched? Well, I think it's maybe not the highest watched old video of mine right now, like for almost every month for the last 2 years, has been my review of Gemini Man. Like, why is that video still going? No one cares about Gemini Man. Why is it still on? Why is it like one of the most viewed videos I have mine? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Anyhow, Lucas asks, what do you think about physical media dying in the near future? Will piracy be the only savior when its streaming services just take movies down out of the blue? I don't know if physical media. I mean, it is dying, but I don't know if it's going to be dead. Nothing's ever truly dead. Um, I don't know. I don't think piracy will be the only savior. I don't know what that means. I don't think it's a savior at all. But just take movies down. Oh, out of the when people take movies out of down. Yeah, I think if it's one of those things where you can't get it streaming, then if there are no legal ways to obtain your, let's put it this way. I'm not gonna. The internet is good for making hard and fast black and white rules. Let's just put it this way. I don't go don't make it hard. Don't make it more and more you know more and more hard nosed than I'm trying to make it here. But if there are no legal means to obtain the movie that you're watching, and piracy is one way of getting it, then the piracy is the way it is. Sorry, it's their fault for not making it available. That's I don't I think that logic of that makes perfect sense to me. Like if you're not making it accessible in some way, so but that's all I'll say on that. Just make your stuff accessible, man. Don't try to hide everything. Lightsaber wants to save me a movie. So I think somebody was asking, should I do a should we do one of those videos where we sit and we like go through a video like piece by piece and like review not review it but like critique it and literally like okay, this is what we could do, this is what we could do. Uh, that might be fun to do with somebody that wants to submit a video. Maybe if you guys want to submit it, I mean, just go online and filmmakeriq.com. If you haven't figured out what the website is, then I don't think I want to watch your movie if you don't know what my website is. Like literally, if you don't know what it is, then it's a bad statement on your understanding. But yeah, if you send me an email or link, I don't know if you guys want to do one of those like literally break it down kind of reviews. I'm way behind on chats here. Let's jump ahead here. Am I a fan of 60s schlock? I'm a fan of schlock, a lot of schlock any era, but 60s is particularly fun. Uh, yeah, green screen is my biggest video in terms of views, but right now, currently, the Gemini Man video gets more views than any other video I make, like per month. Per month. I think YouTube algorithm is not right for certain kinds of content. YouTube algorithm is horrible. I think it's done a big disservice to me. It kind of sucks, but that's the way it is. I don't know whether it's YouTube that's screwing me over or it's my own inability to make videos on a timely manner. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a horrible person. That could be it. Why? Yeah, vinyl died decades ago. Can't buy that anywhere now. Wink, wink. Red Letter Media did a recent video, Near Dark, and they briefly talked about the number of movies that are not part of the streaming and have hundreds of dollar copies available online. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of times we have what's called orphan works. Basically, no one wants to claim them, or no one can claim them. So, they're just kind of out there. Rick, do you want to do a video? Just hook me up. I think you friended me on Facebook. You can friend my personal page and just send me an email or something. Maybe we can do if you're wanting to do maybe one of these next live chats we do like a little breakdown. Maybe I'll sit here with my laptop and we'll kind of watch the movie together and figure out what to do with it or what can be done or what can be done. I don't need to sound horrible about it. I'm just like what I'll give you some tips and advice. Another thing I want to do, a video I want to do about a topic I wanted to do was I want to talk about pans. Like every time I got in an argument with somebody on my YouTube about the guy was talking about every time you talk about frame rate, they always bring up the topic of pans. Like, oh, pans don't look good in 24 frames per second. Like, how do I make pans look better? You can't make pans. And my advice is always this: pan slower. And they get pissed off at me when I suggest that. Like how do you make pans look better? You pan slower. It's like, why? I don't understand. That's the weirdest thing because I've had people get upset with me when I talk about like audio levels. How can you 24-bit audio? How can you record? How can you keep from peaking? Turn your audio level down. Like I suggest very basic techniques to fixing a technical issue. And people always get pissed off at me for suggesting simple techniques rather than like, oh, I don't have any limitation. I just want to just do something. It's not working. Rather than like, okay, just do this. Turn the knob, pan slower. Like people think that panning and 24 frames per second is like somehow a new limitation. Like this hasn't been known since the 1920s, right? Like they didn't know this? Of course they knew this. But I want to do a video about panning and first of all, I think most people when they say pans, they don't necessarily understand what they mean by pans because pans are very specific. It's left to right. Tilt, pan, and I'm guilty. I won't get it all right. I'll say pan up. No, tilt up, pan, and then there's trucking and dollying and stuff like that, right? So I'm not sure people understand when they say pans don't look good, but I do want to talk about pans and how you should think about pans because like most of the time you don't necessarily want to pan. Like panning isn't that cinematic. Like you don't just want to pan. Now there's a difference between panning and tracking. Like if you're seeing somebody like run down the field, you can track the person. That's not necessarily a pan. That's a track, right? Because you're keeping that person steady in the frame, even though the stuff around them is moving. Those are differences. But I want to talk about pans as far as like the visual language and when and how I use them and how I think about them. Because like, if you have a beautiful vista, then you might be tempted to like zoom in and pan it, but that's pointless. Like you got to think in terms of like how am I trying to guide the viewer's eye? And I do this with all my videos, and even the corporate, the government stuff that I do. I always think about like eye movement and placing stuff in the particular eye. I don't necessarily have a formula, but I do it. I do approach it from an artistic standpoint. Like, okay, I want the person reading the text up here. Now I want them moving their eyes down here. I mean, I don't like state it out loud, but I do keep that in mind. Like I try to match, eye positions, stuff like that. What is a good panning example? So like something I'll keep talking about is like go to the movies of John Ford. Anything you see that's shot in Monument Valley. Monument Valley is that place in I believe it's Utah or Wyoming. It's one near Four Corners. I think it's Wyoming. Is it? I don't remember. Anyhow, it's the the desert with the buttes, the two big buttes, and you'll see sometimes a pan like when maybe John Wayne will be riding his horse and it'll just like slowly pan. Like if you shoot with wide angles, you don't necessarily want to like go really fast. You want a nice slow pan. If you want to create the sense of bigness of a landscape, you want to do a nice slow pan, right? You don't necessarily want to go fast. And if you go fast, you're just destroying the effect because you don't give the viewer a chance to lock on any particular thing. There's a great little. Now this would be considered a pan, but it's if you watch the show, or I guess it's the Roseanne intro, but it's on Too Many Cooks. There's another good example in Jojo Rabbit, where they're trying to show the passage of time, and the camera just rotates. It's literally a pan. It rotates 360 degrees, and you're just seeing like people get older and older and older, or they're showing a passage of time. Again, it's Utah. Yeah, I think it's Utah. Yeah, it's Arizona well, it's near Four Corners. Anyhow, Rio Pro Dros says, how eyes construct a picture. I'm driving. I think it's following a triangle. I don't think it's necessarily a triangle necessarily, but it's like, you want to. There are eye study programs out there that are scientists study the eye position. So like eyes will be drawn to faces. So the eye will go to the faces first. So and then and the composition too. Like certain compositions. If your point of interest is in this part of the composition, and then maybe you want to bounce it to the other side of the screen, maybe you want to bounce it back and forth. It's literally an art film kind of a not literally it's art form, not art film. So I think if you approach it from more of like where do I want the viewer's eye to go, And like panning is the worst thing to do because when you pan, you're confusing your audience. Like, where am I looking? Where am I looking? It's just if you, especially panning really quickly. Whoa, where am I looking? It's confusing. Like that's why pans are very rarely done. And if they are done, they're done slowly. So quit complaining about the frame rate and panning fast. Slow down. Slow down with your framing. Now, people get upset with me because, like, I feel like, well, I think I purposely make people upset. But I would like to say that getting them upset is a way to try to trigger them into thinking, oh, I didn't think of that. Because if I just give them a straight answer, but I kind of want that twist, like, oh, pan slower. Why didn't I think of that? Turn the knob down, turn the volume down a little bit, then you record softer. Ah, I didn't think of that. John Ford did a great film called Sergeant Rutledge. Woody Strode, great actor, inspired the name, the marionette in Toy Story. Oh, cool. Yeah, panning's okay in establishing shot. And again, this is my advice to this guy was basically this: pan slower and use a wide angle lens. So if you combine both of those, you get that establishing shots. But if you're just doing a landscape shot, like if you're just doing a shot, the last thing you want to do is pan quickly and use a tight focus. Because then you're just like, unless you're tracking, that's different. Tracking and panning shots, I'm going to make a distinction between the two of them. Unless you're tracking something, like you're tracking a skier going down a mountain, of course you're going to use a longer lens and you can follow the skier. But the thing is, when you're doing that, your eye is fixated on the point of interest, which is the skier, and then the background is more motion. Same thing with when you're doing a steady cam shot or a stabilizer shot. Sometimes you want to give the audience something for their eye to anchor onto, and then everything else kind of like works. Everything else falls into more of the background, the sensation of motion, but you gotta give your eye something to hold on to, because sometimes, like I was thinking, like if you're just doing a shot of, let's say you're showing off a really cool property, like sometimes it's good to just like put a person in there, like walking through it, and your eye kind of follows that person, and you're still getting the whole sense of the place, rather than just going through it. It's a little less interesting that way. Although, pull the reins on that. Not always, but sometimes having an anchor for your eye is really helpful. Anyhow. Lucas says, I remember ages ago I read an article that explained how to pan. There was some kind of calculation you could make. Yep, so the pan wasn't too fast. It's on Red user or Red Cameras has an article on that, and it's been well known. It's literally been calculated back since the 20s, and back when they had the little gear handles or gear tripods. Right, there's a certain speed that they would go when they're doing a pan. It's also dependent on your lens. And then people are like, oh, yeah, I want to pan whatever speed I want. I'm like, well, art form is about limitations, not necessarily what you can do. Necessarily, you can do whatever you want. I remember watching How the West Was Won. John Ford directed the Civil War segment. Yeah, cool. I don't know if that was just name recognition or what, but a direction did seem better than the other segments. That is a weird movie. It is a little... other than being Cinerama, Motorsports is a lot of panning when following cars, but you are focused on the car. Exactly. Yeah. So I would call that a tracking shot. So that's not necessarily a pan shot. Like if you want to pan the audience, if you wanted to, if you're at a motorsports, you want to see the crowd at the stadium, you wouldn't just go. You deal with a wide lens, or you maybe but you do a nice even pan. And of course, also live sports may not be a good place for 24 frames a second. Depends on how you do it. But a lot of live sports is really better in 60 frames a second. I'm not being ashamed of saying that. If you want to see it live, if you want that cinematic, and that's the other thing too. Sometimes you don't really necessarily want the pan. May not actually be the best choice if you're trying to convey. Sometimes what's better, instead of doing a pan, is to do a close up of what you want to show. Like show this, then this. Like if you want to show like an audience excitement. A pan is kind of boring, whereas if you can get into close, get a shot of the audience cheering, another shot, and create a bunch of like a montage of all different audience shots, it's a lot more visually interesting than just a pan. So, of course, you can use the pan as well. Maybe start with establishing pan, cut, close, cut. Right. Anyhow, so hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm getting rid of these VOM guys. Jeez, it's so annoying. Oh my gosh, 6:15 already. I wasn't gonna try to be on here for too long. Where is this VOM guy? Gotta get rid of him. There you are. Bye bye. You are gone. All right, cool. Now we're just talking about pans, and I got me excited. Now I'm gonna go home and make some food with my pan. Oh, just kidding. I can recall. I recall Tarantino using an old Cinerama film lens for shooting much of his classic The Hateful Eight. I believe Bosch and Lomb created the film lens. Oh yeah, those 70 millimeter ones. Those are crazy. Sorry I'm late, Derek. Well, you should apologize not to me, but the entire class here. It's fixing my pen drives with my video on it. Oh, some got corrupted. That sucks. I prefer a frying pan, exactly. Next idea for a video, how to make a feature film start to finish, thus tricking you into making your own film. Yeah, that's true. That's one way to do it. I mean, I literally made enough, like, hours of content that I should just make a dang film already. Bosch and Lomb made some wonderful lenses for Keystone, 16 millimeter format. Cool. Was that Trumbull? Yeah, but in sports you don't use frame rate. Is that what he said? I hope he didn't say that. There you go. What is better, a USB MP4 player or on a smart TV or a Blu-ray player? Honestly, I think the Blu-ray is probably better because Blu-ray is going to give you higher quality than streaming. Although USB MP4 player, if you got good decent MP4s out of it, if you're high enough fidelity on those. But I mean, let's face it, streaming is so dang like uh, easy to use. Streaming is so convenient. That's the word I'm looking for. All right. I only found out recently that Star Trek TNG used to use a really wide format and then pan and scan in green screen mode, green screen shots. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I remember like a lot of shows that were in the HD SD divide. Although I think Next Generation was still quite a bit before HD came around. But I also think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Star Trek also shot on film. So they have a lot more play, I think, when HD came around. Anyhow, but except for some of the graphic stuff was not done on film. Anyhow, I'm not quite sure. Jason says, documentary style, is live commentary better than voiceover? Is there a situation where choosing to speak while on camera is recording better than doing a voiceover later? It depends on style. Like, generally, I mean, nowadays, you have to watch a lot of documentaries, but I feel like a lot of documentaries go for telling the story through multiple um, interviews, talking head interviews, instead of using. And then a lot of times, what they'll do is they'll also incorporate a narrator, which ties together the interviews. If someone produced a documentary or is working, I haven't worked on this documentary forever. I don't know if it's still happening or not, but anyhow, uh, it's you want to try to capture as much footage from different people to provide different perspectives, and you can kind of build a story using like 10 different people giving their own story, their own idea of the story, and it kind of builds up into this. You can cut between them and make it something interesting. The narrator is really helpful in that it does, because sometimes when people are interviewed, they just do not necessarily give you what you need to create the finished documentary. So the narrator is really useful for filling in gaps and making connections and links and stuff like that. So, what is with these things are these spammers are keep coming, man. I just gotta get rid of them. Where are you? You are gone, spammer. I'm not seeing them anymore. There you are. Bye bye. Hide user. Anyhow, I'm probably going to wrap it up pretty soon, but we'll hang out for a few more minutes. Let's see. Oh, there you go. PNG was on film. The pan scan was to get around tracking green screen shot. Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember, like, I know it was done on Star Wars or something like that. Instead of moving the models when they would fly, because Next Generation wasn't that CGI, but I think on Star Trek, or not Star Wars, the same idea, right? But just kidding. The actual models were still, and they would fly the camera around it. So instead of the X-wing flying at you, it was the camera moving toward the X-wing. That was always clever. Uh-huh. Let's see here. I met Trumbull. There you go. I met Trumbull when he hit our Kabuki theater cinema and do a talk in front of Future Cinema. I got his business card and gave him my Burn Wrap movie business card. A hefty, heady afternoon. Cool. Yeah, the thing with Trumbull and the Future Cinema is like none of that happened. Like none of it. Like, oh, we're gonna go to high frame rate. No, we're not. Like I feel like maybe it's because I'm an old man. Like I've seen the promises of technology, and I've seen the promises fizzle. People that are high are super like uh, super gung ho about technology. It's like literally it's all fizzled away. Because it doesn't matter. All that matters is story at the very end. There we go. Like Luke Welch once asked, "What's the best editing program, camera, and mic for making independent art film as a signal filmmaker?" The answer to all that is whatever you have. I'm sorry guys. I just love Adobe. I'm not gonna jump ship for Resolve. I'm sorry. I don't like Resolve at all. I mean, I get this every time. Yes, Resolve is better for color grading. I get it, but it's not for editing. I do not like Resolve. But for editing programs, man, if you've got $1 million, you can get the best. So don't worry about what's best. Worry about what you have access to, and just go out and do it, and then try it. Yeah, Rigel Seven says DaVinci Resolve is free, so there's that. But I like Premiere more. Yeah, that's the same. I mean, DaVinci has a free version. Let's put it that way. The version that you can't do 4K with it, but it's got a free version. So don't give up on that high frame rate till you see Avatar 2. You do realize that James Cameron gave up on for high frame rate too, right? I mean, I think high frame rate has a place only place left for high frame rate is in cinema is in 3D because maybe 3D has because I understand the 3D shutter problem is an issue, but even James Cameron said that Avatar 2 is not going to be mostly not going to be in the high frame rate. It's mostly going to be in 24. There we go. Look up Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They shot in cinematic format originally. When you see stagehands in the shot, you know the editors were supposed to crop them out for the old TV. Buffy. I never was a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I like result. Oh yeah, After Effects is hard. After Effects is impossible to replace. I'm sorry. There's one guy that came up to me like that text or a friend of mine introduced me. He wanted to make these. He was doing these videos that are sports like scout videos, and he was like, "I want something really high end looking," and like, okay, well, I can develop you like a graphic package that you could change out, but it has to be in After Effects. Like, oh no, I use Apple Motion. Like, well, sorry, I'm not the guy to help you. Like, oh, but he's like, I want the highest end, most cutting edge thing. Like, well, you gotta get After Effects then. Get some After Effects. Like, oh no, I want Apple Motion. Like, okay, do your Apple Motion thing. I'm sorry, but it's just if you want the tools to do high end stuff, you gotta use After Effects. I mean, I guess you could use Nuke. I'm not gonna downplay Nuke or something like that, but like Apple Motion, no, I'm sorry. Even with the democratization of tools, you still get the oh, if I only had the piece of tech mindset. Yeah, it's always if I only had the money, if I only had the locations, if I only had the actors. Believe me, that's me. If I only didn't have this pandemic to worry about, use that as an excuse. And that's starting to be done with. I think this year we'll definitely see the end. I mean, California, we're already starting to get there. Derek says, no matter technology sucks, no matter how advanced or whatever format, it's going to screw up fact of live streaming. If you trust the internet won't fail. Yeah, yep. It's always bad. Uh, Apple Motion is high end. I thought he was going to be one of those Nuke fans. Well, no, he wanted high end stuff, but he wanted to do high end, but he was working on Final Cut X, and it had motion, and he's like, well, I want the most cutting edge stuff you can make. Like, okay, well, you got to use After Effects because he wanted to do these scouting videos. But he pumps out like 600 of them a year, so they've got to be like super turn and burn. But it's like, okay, well, I can build you like a motion graphics thing with After Effects, and you can actually type it in and change them out in every single one. But like, I don't know that capability for motion for Apple Motion. So like, you know, like you got to have at least After Effects. And it's like, well, I don't want to go. I don't want to, I don't want to go to that environment. Like, okay, I can't help you. You know. Anyhow, yeah, Nuke seems to be good for nodes if you're a node thinker. That's what's so hard, frustrating for me to learn about. Resolve is my my brain has kind of been set for layers. Like I understand layers, but nodes are really hard for me to wrap my. I haven't spent, I probably could learn it if I spent like a good month just doing nothing else but learning the software. Like if I just sat down and learned the software, like if I just sat down for a month and try to learn like ZBrush or any of these 3D software packages, if I just took the time to actually train myself, I could be good at it. I could. I just don't have the time or patience on this right now. But mainly, I don't have the time to do it. I just don't. I just don't. Derek said, sorry about the pessimism. My head fits just now with that drive. Oh, sucks. Yeah, I know it sucks. Yeah, yeah. I mean, implement multiple backups is what I would recommend. Just do it. Yeah, I don't get nodes either, despite being someone who should benefit from that style. I mean, look, some of the greatest things out there are made in After Effects. Like, don't think you have to learn nodes. Oh, or don't gatekeep yourself to thinking, oh, I can't be a serious filmmaker if I don't learn nodes. I can't be a serious editor if I don't learn nodes. It's a different style of working. That's all. Some people say it's better. Some people say it's worse. I mean, if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work. Like people. So the thing with Premiere recently is that there was an issue with Premiere and the plugin from Maxon I use called Universe, and it would basically the version of Universe would crash the latest version of Premiere, so you have to go back to the first version of 2022, which is like 4 months old. And they just fixed it, but like I was part of this thread on Adobe Help, and it was just like so many people were so angry about it. And they just roll back to the 22 and just wait. And they finally fixed it. Like after knowing it for about 2 months, I guess what happened was the new version of Premiere changed the way the color is handled, and it completely threw off a lot of these third party apps. So finally they fixed it. I'm so glad they finally fixed it. Anyhow, Gary says if it ain't backed up in three places, oops, I didn't put that. If it ain't backed up in three places, it ain't backed up. That's what I've been told. Yeah, three triplicates. Triplicates. I tried Nuke to comp EXRs and 3D renders. Oh, that's an example where they can be useful. Because the layer process for EXRs and 3D renders is honestly a pain in the butt. It feels clunky. So yeah, I guess nodes would be make a whole lot more sense than layers. Although layers in a the way to think about it, the layers makes a lot of sense. But it's so easy. Like if you wanted to shift something around, like you grab all the layers stack and move all the layers at the same time. So yeah, I guess nodes would make a whole lot more sense for EXRs and stuff like that. Yeah, for simple composition, I don't think it's necessary. Like as you said. Is making a short film a waste of time? Seems like I might well make my first film 90 minutes and have a real movie just a little bit more work. You're kidding. You're fooling yourself. You think it's just a little bit more work. It's not a little bit more work. It's a lot more work to make a feature. I would say if you can't make a short film, there's no possible way you can make a feature. Like zero possible way to make a feature. So I would say make a bunch of short films first. Like don't try to make a feature thinking like, oh, I can just make. No, it's not a little bit more work. It's a buttload more work to get a feature done than in a short. 'Cause think about it. Like you can pull off a short in a day. You can record a short in a day. You can record what I call a serious short, which is like a 20-minute short, in like 3 or 4 days. You could shoot that. A feature film is going to cost at least, and talking time wise, at least a well 18 day 10 to 15 days depending on what you're trying to shoot and how much you need to shoot and what your shooting style is. I know you can shoot a feature film in like 3 days. Sure. You're gonna make. Sure, you can make Little Shop of Horror, the Roger Corman version in 2 days. Okay, sure. But remember what he had the set already built. He was basically taking that set from somebody else. They just left over a set, and then they basically didn't rehearse anything. He just ran through as fast as he could. So sure, you could make it. Make a feature movie in 2 days. Okay, but yeah, you need to make a short. Make some shorts first, because a feature is not a little bit more work than a short. It's a lot more work than a short. But I have a book that says you can make a film for $100. Of course you can. Of course you can. You can. One of the best things I ever told me, I saw this independent film made by some friends in Las Vegas that I thought was really good. It's called Virgin Alexander. Look it up, Virgin Alexander. It's out there. Um, and I asked them like, how much did it cost you? And the best answer they gave me was this: you don't tell people the price of the dress you brought, price of the dress you wore to the ball or something like that. You don't share that shit. Because the stories about people and how little they made their movie for is literally because they begged and borrowed. People are calling me now. Oh. Pretty sure I have to take this, but I will go ahead and leave a message for now. But anyhow, I've made I made 50 YouTube videos, not the same, I know, but some 40-minute original scripts ready for something more. Well, make some short films first, though. Like YouTube, like I make YouTube videos, but they're not. Are you making a narrative short? It's. I gotta put it this way: you're coming off like you're coming off like you know what you're talking about, but then you're saying a feature film is just not much more work than a short. That tells me you don't know what you're talking about. So you need to make the shorts. Like if you haven't made a short film, then you don't know what it's like. So anyhow, I'll pick on left-hand puppetry. Rick H says, make a short first. Give people less time to walk out on it. Yeah, Robert Rodriguez certainly sold himself to the science to fund El Mariachi. I think we also need to stop venerating people like Robert Rodriguez and Kevin Smith. Though the era that they made films in is different than the era we're making films in today. Like we need to stop thinking, oh well, Robert Rodriguez did that. Kevin Smith, maxed out his credit cards to make a film. Therefore, anybody can make for that price. So, Lucas says you can't run before walking. Exactly. Jose Morales says the original Twilight Zone is my all-time favorite series. Number 12 just looks like you. Essentially predicts the modern day society. I don't remember that. I don't remember that one. Have to look that one up. All right. Well, it is 6:30. I need to get going here. Let's see what Harry says. Leilani at the perfect time. Paths to frame is impossible now. People always forget that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez. It's interesting. Like, don't forget that Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez shot their films on film. Like we don't shoot our films on film. So we get rid of the costs of that. The cost of developing the film, shooting the film, all that stuff, obtaining the film. It's all completely different. Left-hand puppetry, I definitely don't know what I'm talking about. Appreciate the feedback. Make some shorts. Seriously, make some shorts. You will find yourself surprised how much more work they are. And then you can experiment because you can make different kinds of shorts and different genres and different styles without investing years of your life to make a feature. There you go. Rigel says, I made a short in October. If we had to pay for it, budget it was about 20,000 Canadian, 2 days, 3 actors, two locations, one set. Yeah, if you had to pay, exactly. Now again, and what you're paying for too. Like I was looking up, and I'm gonna get going soon. I gotta get going, but I was looking up how much do the stars of the Super Bowl halftime, how much do they get paid? They don't get paid. They get paid scale, right? It's like, well, how much do you think this halftime show costs? Well, they get paid scale because it's a Super Bowl. They don't actually have to pay them the full salary that Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre actually command. Yeah, Harry says the El Mariachi's budget would have been way lower if digital were around. I think that's true. Oh, Lucas, these lives are great. For some reason, YouTube just started reminding me about them. Have a great night. Yeah, I unfortunately I feel bad because sometimes whenever time I make a real video, like I always get one commenter saying, "Oh, I'm glad you're finally coming back to making these videos instead of these stupid live streams that you do." The live streams are chill, man. I'm hanging out with you guys. I'm chatting with you guys, and we're trying to talk about stuff. It's keeping me, kind of sane while my life kind of is. I wouldn't say it's falling apart, but it's rocky. It's rocky. It's difficult. So I appreciate hanging out with you guys. Appreciate just kind of chatting about what I thought I always loved, and I still love. Right? I think if I had my druthers, I would be doing this full time. I would be doing a lot more of this. A lot more of this. Anyhow, all right, guys. Well, it's been lovely having a chat with you, and we will see you guys next week. I haven't finished writing the next video yet, so it's going to be a little bit of a while before I get finished with that. But anyhow, check out filmmakeriq.com. You can go back to watch all the old videos, previous videos. Check out that Fox video if you haven't. Spread it around because I want to get some numbers up on that thing. Right now it's right in the middle, so we want to get it up a little higher. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Filmmaker IQ, go out and make something great. Bye.